It's just about time for the playoffs, and we need to discuss what Leeds United need if they want to get through this tough, tough period of the postseason that we never seem to do very well in. I'm a little bit spooked, but what we're going to do is we're going to dive into it in a bit more detail because the playoffs were confirmed this weekend and it is Norwich City, which means there is plenty of work to do behind the scenes. So, I'm going to get into it. I'm going to discuss Leeds United's past experiences in the playoffs, including what is my first big traumatic Leeds United memory. I think I've got two fairly big ones going there, actually. In addition to that, I'm also going to discuss what Leeds United need to do in this specific instance. I'll go into more detail in that in later videos throughout the week, purely because we don't know who's fit, who's not fit, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. First up, we're going to talk about Leeds United's past experience with the playoffs, and yeah, it's not good. It's not good at all. I had a look through Leeds United's playoff past, and there are 5 different runs at the playoffs, and you'd think balance of probability. Each of those runs, you've got 4 teams that can potentially go up, which is absolutely wonderful. And there are even 2 different formats here, so you know what? That might add a little bit of variance. We might have a bit of a better chance. Balance of probability. 5 times, 4 competitors, we're going to win once. First up, in 1987, Leeds United lost the playoff final to Charlton. Not only was it a 2 legs in the semi-final, 2 legs in the final, we drew the final and managed to take it to a replay. And we lost that, which I feel like is an achievement. To play 5 games in the playoffs and still not go through, a little bit devastating. Big old gap up until the modern era, which is Watford, where we lost the playoff final, having travelled all the way down to Cardiff. Didn't turn out good. Then we've got Leeds United's most recent appearance at Wembley when we lost the playoff final in 2008 to Doncaster. Also, not really ideal. For some reason, the zoom on the camera's all wrong. There we go. But you know what? It's a day out at Wembley, and we might sort of bounce back a little bit okay next time. We then lost the playoff semi-final in 2009 to Millwall. This one is, off the top of my head, one of my first big traumatic Leeds United-y memories because I wasn't someone that was able to be match going much at all. But somehow I ended up with a ticket to a playoff match against Millwall, and digging through my memory banks, this is the one that I think I went to. And it ended 1-1, I think, within the 90 minutes, but because we lost the first leg, we didn't get to the final. And that was a little bit of a disappointment for young me, but that's okay, because slightly older me, maybe, just maybe, slightly older me can be happy if things go well. And we lost the playoff semi-final in 2019 to Derby, and I can remember this one significantly more vividly. I think I've discussed it before, and what happened was I watched the first leg, and it was fantastic because that side was so fun to watch, and we won the first leg, I think 1-0, and then started the second leg, and we took the lead, and it's fantastic. We're 2-0 up on aggregate, and I've got a 6-a-side match to go out to, but that's okay because it'll all be completely fine in the end, and it gets to full time in the 6-a-side match. My team have lost something like 8-1, and I have someone behind the net who's watching the match, and I look at him, and he looks at me, and just sort of... By that point, we'd thrown it away. And I still haven't watched the entirety of that match because, having seen the highlights, I don't think I want to. Because it didn't look like it was a fun match. And yeah, our history in the playoffs is not fun in the slightest, and has been marred by the likes of Kiko Casilla not remembering how to goalkeep. But you never know. It might be a little bit different this time. Almost all of the players are different compared to that match against Derby. I think the only player that is still at the club across the 2 periods, I mean, you've got Liam Cooper, but he's not likely to play. Technically, Stuart Dallas is still at the club because he's not retired yet. Maybe Pascal Struijk was at the club by that point. I can't quite remember. But ultimately, we know that it's a different side. It's a different manager. We can push forward. We can get a result. So we need to know what the Whites need to do. And the important thing is we've got plenty of prep time. 8 days between last Saturday and the playoff match on Sunday, which I think off the top of my head kicks off at noon, which is really annoying because I have a work event at the same time, which means that I will not personally be able to give all of my attention to that, which is a little bit of a pain, but that's okay. Because we've got prep time, I'll be able to watch it in the background, and we can sort of adapt to what has happened in previous matches with Norwich. That includes our own games against them and the various strengths of the Norwich side since. One of them being Josh Sargent, I think, scored something daft like 16 goals in 26 matches. So we need to design a way to shut down that threat, whether that's stopping balls getting to him in the first place or that sort of making sure you man mark him. If we can get Sargent out of that game, brilliant. Just eliminate him. It's not necessarily going to be easy, but it's something we can do. And we need to consider that we've beaten them twice already this season. So we definitely have it in us to win this match. But the issue with those games was there was a little bit of a difference compared to what is happening now with Leeds United. We had a lot more midfield control in those games, which is something that right now I feel like we're struggling for. And I don't 100% understand why. Although a potential reason, because the first Norwich match was significantly earlier in the season, Ethan Ampadu's drop into centre-back might have caused us some problems there, and we can adapt for it. We can bring Ethan Ampadu more into the game by pushing him into the midfield. Maybe you risk playing Liam Cooper or something like that, but ultimately that should be okay. However, in order to do that, we need to hit the final thing that I've got down on what Leeds United need to do before, of course, getting into more detailed tactical stuff later in the week, and that is get our players fit. In January, we transformed from a team that was dropping points in December to one that was unbeatable and unbeaten. Sorry, slightly runny nose. And that was, in my opinion, because a couple of players started playing big roles. Junior Firpo at left back came into the side, looked great. Started playing at a much better level than he did in the Premier League. We were also playing Dan James fairly often, which is good because his energy causes some big problems for every side we're against. And Pat Bamford was there as well, playing as a proper number 9, stretching their back line and doing what Joel Peru doesn't, and latching onto those through balls, causing some big, big problems. So if we're able to get those players fit, things will be a lot better. They'll feel a lot more like they did in the first half of the season. If we're not able to get them fit, that's where I can feel a couple of the issues sneaking back in. So ultimately, what's going to happen? I can't predict what's going to happen in the game itself yet. I don't think anyone can. Anyone that says they can, fair play to them. Well done. But there's a few solid predictions that I have zero doubts about. First up, we are all going to be terrified. We'll go into this game bricking it, because it is the biggest game of the season so far. As will the second leg when we get there. As will the final if we get there. This isn't a stress-free period at all. But in addition to that, no matter what, we will be okay next season. If we get promoted, fantastic, we're a Premier League side. Love it. If we don't get promoted, we're in the Championship. We'll lose a couple of players, but we'll buy replacements. And we'll win a lot more games of football than we would in the Premier League. At the end of the day in these matches, another prediction is that the crowd is going to be essential. If the crowd backs the side, wonderful. We'll have a lot more energy, we can cause them some problems, but no matter what, we will all keep talking about every single decision that is made. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether you agree, whether you disagree. And that's where I want to know what you think. Let me know what you think about Leeds United's history in the playoffs. Let me know what you think is going to happen in these specific playoffs. And let me know if, where the rough fear level is. Because I'm sure that everyone has some level of that sort of, oh no, in their heads right now. And I kind of want to know where that's at. Either way, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, pop a like on it, subscribe, that's always massively appreciated. You could even become a channel member with all that revenue right now going to Prostate Cancer UK. Let's hope we win the playoffs. I will see you later. I feel like the optimistic side of me is going to have a challenge in these coming days. It's fine. It's fine. We're okay.